I've played Subnautica for over 2.5 years now, and I've learned many useful things in my journey. However, I've also learned some things that might be considered less than useful. Those are what I want to look at today, so without further ado, here's a solid 10 minutes of useless information about Subnautica. The two halves of this gray panel in the multi-purpose room reflect light slightly different. When measured from sea level, the highest point on the Aurora is 452 meters, which is 9 meters taller than the tip of the Empire State Building if the two were to be placed side to side. Creatures have some pretty weird animations whenever they're far away. On the underside of the Aurora, there is what appears to be a large cargo door that would normally be impossible to view. By going far enough away from the Aurora and turning off the game's fog, you can see these weird purple particles coming out from underneath the ship. The pictures displayed in the player's PDA are not actually perfect rectangles. There's a small panel on the outside of the Cyclops that reads, "Differential lock engaged." Signs can be completely hidden whenever they're placed on this part of an X compartment. Out of all of Subnautica's many creatures, there are just a handful that produce no bioluminescence whatsoever. The ghost Leviathan is not one of them. Using the command item base water park summons a white model of the alien containment unit. Dolphins in the Subnautica universe cannot play the piano. This is because they are all dead. While most items in Subnautica will begin to sink whenever they're dropped, liquid-containing items such as water bottles and coffee cups will float indefinitely wherever they are left. The ecological dead zone is home to a seemingly random collection of other biomes. While this point seems to just be ordinary void like any other, the game actually considers it part of the dunes, and ghost leviathans will not spawn here. The game has two variations of acid mushrooms, these larger ones with a much lighter coloration, and smaller ones with a darker coloration. By operating a camera in a scanner room with a window, it's actually possible to use that camera to look through the window into the scanner room, and you can actually see yourself controlling the camera. Unlike literally every other creature in the game, reefbacks just kind of pop out of existence whenever they're killed. Despite the game's lore saying that sea dragons will actually travel up to the surface to hunt reapers, if you're to actually put the two up in a head-to-head matchup, the reaper wins almost every single time. If you try to teleport somewhere outside of the map using console commands, the game will put you back at the safe shallows and you will keep traveling in an infinite loop. If you listen very carefully to the audio in the sparse reef, you can sometimes make out former US President Donald Trump saying China. The submarine name Cyclops is actually a registered trademark of the now infamous submersible company OceanGate, and this can even be seen in the game's credits. By planting a brain coral in an alien containment unit, it's possible to get air, which is inside of water, which is inside of more air, which is inside of yet more water. Entering and later leaving free cam mode while the player is controlling a Cyclops can make the player's model very stretchy. If you teleport to the coordinates -1280, -215, -13, you will arrive at this patch of sand. All of the plants and terrain inside of those little aquariums in the primary containment facility aren't actually solid. Any cave crawlers spawned in via console commands have a different coloration to their natural counterparts, and are completely harmless. The item ID for spawning in the mobile vehicle bay is the constructor. 2.783 seconds is the fastest that anyone has ever managed to die in Subnautica. Ion cubes have a very subtle animation. Large kyanite deposits have a 1 in 2 million chance of yielding 22 kyanite pieces. Uranium, not to be confused with the game's other green ore uraninite, can actually be spawned in via console commands. However, as one might expect, it's completely useless. 636 meters is the deepest point on the game's map where you still have a direct vertical path to the surface. Reefbecks sound really funny whenever you speed their sounds up. Many characters in Subnautica share the same voice actor, such as Captain Hollister, Paul Torgal, and the unnamed crew member from LifePod 7, who are all voiced by Christopher Goodwin.
Aurora is on collision course with planet 4546b. After days drifting in the life pod, rain hammering on the roof, the weather cleared and we washed up here. I've tried everything. The analysis circuits on the fabricator are fried.
Despite the two never normally encountering one another, the sea dragon will actually attempt to bite the sea moth. However, this animation is very weird. The walls of the Sea Emperor's containment facility are always rendered, and can be seen from almost any part of the map. This is what Subnautica on 320 by 200 graphics looks like. The brine falls in the Lost River and lava falls in the lava zones overlap with the Cyclops buttons. Coffee cups are branded with the game's signature Subnautica logo. The song played by the unusual doll is Crazy La Paint by Mini Music Man. By building inside of the Cyclops whenever it's tilted, it's possible to get pieces of furniture that are at an angle or even completely upside down. The toy car is based off of a C7 Z06 Corvette. It's impossible to perfectly replicate the Degassi bases, since the foundations are placed at the center of the multi-purpose rooms. Meanwhile, whenever we try to do it, we can only build the foundations at one of the two edges. Whenever reefbacks swim around, it can really mess with the physics of certain plants. The sunbeam is both way larger and way higher than it looks whenever we're waiting for it on the ground. This is what the Sea Emperor looks like while she waits on you for most of the game. If you're constantly slashing with your knife, but switch to another tool and keep holding down right-click, you'll continue to flail around this other object like it was your knife. If you've managed to trick the game into thinking you're not in water and you try to enter a base, the hatch will instead force you to exit the base and you'll be back in the water. And there you have it, folks. If you somehow managed to actually learn something useful from this video, here's a playlist of some of my older videos that are sure to give you irreversible brain damage. Also, while you're there, consider checking out my Fish Olympics on my community tab. We're all voting for our favorite fish and round 3 is about to start. Well, that's all from me for now, but I'll see you all again very soon.